Hey guys, Zangetsu here, doing the GARO Chapter Black Wolf episode. What episode am I on? I want to say 9. This is I'm looking up my playlist on YouTube that I made to put them all together, and totally doing so because I can't remember what episode I just watched. I watched it last night, so I can't remember. But oh, this is embarrassing. Oh yeah, episode 9. Yeah, we're on episode 9. I'm 9 episodes in, and I can't remember what episode I watched. It was a good one, though. It was a good one. Anyway, this is GARO, Chapter the Black Wolf, Episode 9, Vlog Review. And this episode is about Kaoru and Koga both going through an ordeal. Koga, after vanquishing his 100th horror, is tasked by the GARO armor itself to defeat it in order to gain a power known as Goten. While that's going on, there's too many K's in this show. Kaoru is invited by a principal of a school to touch up a painting of her father, and old memories of her past are starting to bubble up and make it harder for her to do the painting. This all comes to a head when a horror known as Humpty, yes really, its name is Humpty, and it looks like a giant egg, so all I can think of is Humpty Dumpty. That was a horrible name. I don't know why they did that. So anyway, a horror known as Humpty comes and attacks, and Koga is unable to defeat it using the Garoken. So yeah, this episode is probably the best of the whole season, in my opinion. I think this is where the show really excels it the most, particularly because it ties Koga and Kaoru's like problems together. Both of them are dealing with issues with their father, or like a test that from their father. In Kaoru's case, it's dealing with the fact that this painting seemed to be more important to her father than her dying mother or her during that period of time. And Koga, of course, going through the trial of inner shadows. And of course, we also get to see Koga's newest weapon in his arsenal, Goten, the Mado horse, which is such a great idea. When I watched this again, I had forgotten how much I loved the scene where, in order to get stronger, Koga has to summon a horse known as Goten. They are known as Mado horses. They're mechanical horses that make powerful mounts for them, but also allow them to. They also have enormous strength, as when we see him fight Humpty with it, like Goten is able to knock it back with just like a couple of smacks with its hooves, as well as it can allow Koga and GARO itself to make the sword gigantic, known as the GARO Kenzue form, which he uses, and he's able to kill Humpty in a single sword stroke. Now this trial that he goes through will actually be shown off again later on in season 4, when we see another GARO get it. And basically what the trial is after killing so many horrors, a lot of knights will find that an inner darkness is growing in them from just the fact that they will have to keep fighting, and because their struggle is to just hold the tide at bay, not stop the tide. And so, that can cause the darkness in their hearts to manifest, and they could themselves become the very thing that they're fighting against. So the trial is basically to remind you that you have darkness in your heart, but you cannot let it overcome you. And as long as you know, you should be able to overcome it, even if the darkness gets to you, which will come. It will play a point later on. We'll see later. But yeah, it was really good. The stuff with Kaoru was actually surprisingly really good. Like, Kaoru at this point is kind of obnoxious, but at the same time, I didn't really mind her in this. Particularly, I thought the painting thing was really good, and it really gives you insight into why Kaoru's kind of a brat. Because like, to her, like her father seemed to just be obsessed with this painting instead of like dealing with the fact that his wife died. Which, as you'll find out, I mean, granted, it's kind of obvious, but at the same time, it's really touching. that the mural was actually his last great thing painting to dedicate to the love of his wife, and it shows that he did love his wife, but like he couldn't do anything to save her, so all he could do was the thing he could was paint, so that he could at least make something that would, you know, be immortal for her forever, which it really struck a chord with me. I honestly was emotionally moved by this episode just from that, and like, and you know, Koga trying desperately to understand why, like how his father overcame this trial, and it's actually kind of a neat way he overcomes the trial too. Because the Garo Ken is made of the same type of metal as the armor, which I think is where you actually first get the name of the stuff. It's called soul metal. We won't get an explanation for that yet. That will come way, way down the line. In fact, I think it actually will come up. It'll come up when we actually get to meet his father Taiga for the first time. But basically, the Garoken cannot hurt the Garo because, which is it's supposed to be the manifestation of his inner darkness, which is Garo, which is weird because Garo is a cold armor, but basically, because it's the Makai armor, and it's, you know, it's not a horror, so the Garoken cannot hurt it. So, he's given a blade by Gonza that both Taiga and apparently his grandfather, which makes me imply that there is at least 3 Seijimas that were knights were Garos. Because in later series and even in the anime, which takes place way before the events of Chapter of the Black Wolf, there were not Seijimas were not always the owners of the Garo armor. It gets passed down to whoever can use it, as we'll soon see. The armor does not care about bloodlines, but it cares about skill. Unlike what the anime will tell you, and I hate the anime for saying that. But yeah, so he actually uses a blade that looks like the Garo Ken, but it's in a blue. It has a blue handle and hilt. And it's actually not. It's not soul metal. It's just steel. It's just an iron sword. And so basically, the idea being that like it allows you to bypass the armor and show that you can keep moving forward and thrust against the darkness. And it really makes sense to me that basically it's like, you know, as long as you're still fighting against your own inner darkness to keep it at bay, you can overcome it, which I think was a really good message, and interesting story. Yeah, it's just a really good episode. I kind of don't want to talk about like it too much just because I want you guys to go watch it. It's probably what I think convinced me the most of just how good of a series this is, that, you know, it really is for an adult audience, not because of like the gore or the nudity, but just because of the fact that it wants to explore the themes of these characters. It wants to explore the mental, like, landscape of their minds. It wants to explore the themes and tie them to the events of the show. Like, there's a really cool part where, like, both when you see that Koga and Kaoru are both going through an ordeal, they're, you know, they're both struggling to find like their way out of it. Particularly in this where like Koga's clashing swords with the Garo armor, and you can see, and like his sword strokes are matched with Kaoru's paint brushing. You know, like his sword strokes are like her brush strokes, sort of thing, and it's why I like the show so much. It really hits home on all the themes, and it's powerful in a weird way. We also got to hear, this is the first time we will hear the theme, because Garo every season does this thing where we'll have an instrumental theme throughout the first half, and then when we get to the second half of the series, Jam Project, who does the music for everything in this, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard Jam Project, or at least Masaki Endo. He's done plenty of anime in the past. One of the more modern things he's done was the song "The Hero" for One Punch Man. I think a lot of you are probably familiar with. But this is where we will first hear the theme "Savior in the Dark," which is the opening for this season. And it's really good. It plays when Koga first summons Goten, and uses it to defeat Humpty. In fact, I'm probably just gonna share that part with you guys when I share the episode too. I've shared it a lot, but it's just a really fun scene, and it's probably one of my favorite action sequences. Not much else to say. Humpty itself is kind of cool just because it's a giant. It's a huge giant monster, and it's sorry, allergies. And it's really big. It's not really that interesting of a horror. It's just this big giant behemoth. Um, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I don't know. Nothing coming out of my nose. You know what? I'm just gonna hold my hand over that so I don't. But yeah, it's just really big. I had to give them credit. It actually, like, it's clearly a dude in a suit, but the way they green screened it, it actually looks pretty decent for 2005. It actually interacts really well with the CG when they make Garo leap around in CG. Um, but yeah, it's this really big horror. It was kind of cool how like the Garo can like all it could do was maybe like it like stabbed it in the face and kind of injured it enough to make it run off. There's this really funny scene though where like Kaoru's walking home from finishing up her painting, and you can clearly see like they do like a camera POV thing to see like the horror's watching her, but like it's watching her from like a low angle, and I'm like, how does this giant horror watch anything from a low angle? That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah. So yeah, overall this was a good episode. I really recommend if you haven't watched it yet, you should really watch either this episode or the episode before, because this is where you see how good the series is. And yeah, so that was my review, guys. I might not do it tomorrow because I might do that vlog, the vlog I want to do in honor of the fact that we're getting a new Power Rangers movie, for good or for bad. But yeah, this is my review of episode 9 of Chapter of the Black Wolf, and look forward to the next one. And I will see you guys later. Bye.